Hi, if you are coding, then you need unit testing. It is one of the important steps in the application development lifecycle. This video will give you quick tips on how to do testing using NUnit and mock. First of all, why unit testing? As a developer, you need to control the quality of your code and prove that it does what it says. Unit tests are actually the proof that you can show to be sure and proud of your coding work. It is also worth mentioning that any change or refactoring in your code must be tested to show that no matter modification performed, your code is still working as before. So unit testing is a proof of code quality. So always try to answer this question: how resistant your code is to changes? So unit testing is related to change resistance. Unit testing is the execution of additional code that verifies assumptions about how your program actually behaves. Let us understand some keywords in unit testing. First, unit. Unit refers to a class and only the class without any interaction of other classes. Single unit test. Single unit test refers to checking whether an operation achieves the desired result. Unit test runner. Unit test runner refers to a program that checks tests and reports results. Test suite. Test suite refers to a collection of tests. And finally, TDD. TDD, or test-driven development, refers to a methodology or an approach of writing a test before writing the code, usually called read-green refactor. It is rarely used because most of companies prefer coding their solutions than testing. What do you need to start unit testing? First, open your Visual Studio and create a new project for testing. We will create a class library using C#. Next, we call it, for example, my project dot tests. Click Next, create. In our project test, we will create a main class to test. Okay, we will add a class. We will call it, for example, amount calculator. It's a class which will calculate an amount by adding a value or subtracting a value. So amount calculator. Okay, make it public, and then we will add a property called amount, then a constructor with a parameter, so int first amount, and here the amount will get the first amount. Then two methods, one method to add an amount, so int amount, so and amount will get the amount. Yeah, so copy the same method, but here it will be the subtract. Okay, so this is the class to test, okay? But now we need to create a class for testing, okay? But before the creation of the class of testing, we need to add some packages from the NUnit package, like in NUnit. So we go to manage NUnit packages, browse, then in NUnit. So in NUnit install. Okay, click OK, click I accept. Then we need unit test adapter. Okay, so now let us create the class. So public class, we'll call it amount calculator tests, and we will create a method for testing. We'll call it test before void test method. And now before that we have to add attributes for the class. The attribute for the class is test fixture. So test fixture, and the attribute for the method is test. Okay, so now inside the method we will do some basic testing before testing the amount calculator class. Okay, so let us first do some basic testing to understand the testing. So always remember that the testing has three steps, so called arrange, act, and assert. So arrange, act, and assert. So arrange, for example, int a equal 1, and in the act, for example, a will get 2, for example, and we will do the assert and say assert that a is equal to 2. So this test will be successful. To run the test, we go to test, then run all test, for example, control or use control R A. So we will use control R A. So now normally it has to be green, or if it is successful, red if it is not successful. But now I think we need another package from the NUnit package called Microsoft.NET Test SDK. Okay, so we install this one, and now we come back to our class and press again Ctrl R A. So like you see, the test is successful. If I say 1, so the test will fail. So Control R A, so the test fails. Okay, so now this is the assert that. Okay, so if I want to add another line of the asserts, okay, another line asserts that A is equal to 1, and you will see what will be the result. So Control R A to run the test. So like you see here, expected 1 but was 2. So this is the second line. So this one is tested, and this one also was tested. But now if I say, okay, assert that A is equal to 0, so both will fail, but the problem is when testing this line, the test will stop here. We will not test the second one. So let us do the test. So run the test, Control R A. So like you see, expected 0 but was 2. So only about this line. So we are not talking about this line. Okay, so this line was not tested. To test all the lines, all the failures also, we use assert multiple. Okay, assert multiple with a lambda function, and inside we will copy both lines, and now we press again Control R A. You see now both are tested. So expected 0 but was 2, expected 1 but was 2. Okay, so now if we want to do the assert for the if an exception is thrown, okay, so we have another method for that, is assert dot throws, and here let us do the example of divide by 0 exception, and here we can do the act and the act and the assert here. Okay, so of course I'm not talking about that. Then int, so let us say int A equals 0, and here we say var B equal 5 divided by A, and this is, it will be the, normally the assert is this one and the act is inside. Okay, so now we can press Control R A. So like you see, the test is successful. Okay, because the exception is thrown. Now if I say 5 divided by 3 and I press again Control R A, so the test will fail. Okay, so this is for the exception, if the exception is thrown. If my method, the method I want to test is has parameters, for example, we'll do a test of a post year and a pre-year, okay, and the duration between 1 year to another. So we will start with post year, then int pre-year, and here we have two parameters, and we have the duration. Hence duration equal post year minus pre-year. Okay, and here now we will do the assert. Okay, but okay, we'll call it here, this is the arrange and act. We can say it is the same step, and here we will assert multiple, because we have parameters and we need to test many cases. This is then we need the multiple. Okay, the assert multiple. So now we say assert that post year is greater than 0, for example. Okay, we will copy this line again and again, and now we'll say pre-year is greater than 0, and also the duration is greater than 0. But to do the tests, we have an attribute for that, is test case, called test case. So we can use as many as we want. So we'll say for example here 3, and here 90. I say here 2020 to 2024, and here another one, you say 0 minus 90. So now if we press Ctrl R A to run the test, of course it will fail because of these two cases. This one is okay, but these two cases are not okay. So for example, if I say 2025 2020 and I remove this one, so now Ctrl R A, so the test is successful now. So now we need we understand some basics of unit testing. So let us now test the class. Okay, let us test the class. So we come back to here, we say arrange act and assert. So arrange, first we have to create or add a private field of, from the class calculator called amount calculator, for example. Then we initialize the amount calculator here. So new amount calculator, and we say okay, like we have in the constructor, we need first amount. Okay, so we'll say 500. Here we will take the amount calculator and use the method of add and add 500. This is the act, and here the assert. We will do the assert that amount calculator dot amount is equal to 1000. Okay, so now this is the arrange, this is the act, and this is the assert. So Control R A to run the test. So, and the test is successful. Okay, now if I need to use another class inside my class to test, okay, inside my class, my class to test, I need another class, for example. But before that, let us create that class to use inside our class. First, let us use create an interface, call it ilog, and inside we create a method log string message, and let us create a concrete class which implements this interface. So public class console log, and which will implement this interface, and here implement interface, and here we have the log string message, and here we'll console dot write line the message, just this. Okay, so this is the class we want to use. So in the constructor, when we are doing the arrange, when we are initializing the class, we need ilog, we need this instance. Okay, we need an instance of another class. So we will add private read only ilog log, and here we will say this dot log equal log. Okay, call this log. Okay, so now I need to add the log here. Okay, so if I do this new console log, if I do this, okay, it's okay, but I am using a real object, a concrete object inside my test, so inside my class. So this is not a unit test, this becomes an integration test, because I am interacting with other classes. So let us do the test, because okay, just press Ctrl RA to run the test again. Yeah, it will work, it is successful, but it is not a unit testing. It is not unit test. So to use the unit test, we need to use a fake object. Okay, a fake object, and this fake object will be used, and the test will stay unit test and not integration test. And we have a framework for that called mock. So, and the fake object is also called a mock. Okay, sometimes it's called a mock. Okay, so let us add this framework called mock, this package, and here it is. We install it. We come back here. So now, so let us remove that. to do normal test. Okay, so now so now we can start by the creation of the log mock. Okay, so our log mock. So this is the fake object. ilog. Yeah. So sorry, ilog. So now we have the fake object, but the usage is like this: the log mock dot objects, and this is the fake object, this one. If I go, so this is of type ilog, okay, the object. So now I am doing the unit test and I am using a fake object, okay. So now if I press Ctrl RA, it works again, it is successful, okay. So now let us understand more about mock, because installing mock is simple, but let us understand how to mock methods first, then properties, then events. So for the methods, we go to ilog and we will add a method called, we'll call it sample method 1 string word, okay, and we will try to mock this method. So we have the log, the instance of the mock, then we will do the setup, okay. So log mock dot setup with a lambda expression. So l dot sample method 1, okay, and this will returns true. Okay, so the setup, so like you see the log mock, we can use a setup to so our fake object can behave as we want, okay. So here we say, okay, if you have a parameter okay as a string, then returns true. If I want to add another setup, I say okay, not okay, so return false, okay. So again, if I say if I have more than one method, more than one I want to test more than one parameter, I will say it is in for example 2 strings, other 1 and other 2, so, and returns we'll say false, okay. So here I could see, so I need another, okay. So this is the for the setup. Then we will assert, okay. then we will assert and say assert dot multiple and say okay. So I say okay, assert dot is true, and logmark dot object. Always remember to use the objects. Okay, so sample method 1, and then we will pass. Okay, so this is true. This is true because this is what I set up the logmark for. Okay, it's if I have the okay, it returns true, so it's true. Another assert dot is false. So log mock dot object dot sample method 1, and here the not okay. Okay, and again another time for we will test the other one. So this is false, this is true. So now if I run the test, Control RA, Control RA, which errors, console log. Okay, we don't need this one now. Okay, Control RA. Yeah, so it is successful. So now let us do the test also. So this is mocking methods. Okay, an example of mocking methods. Let us do an example of mocking properties. Okay, so now we will come back to the ilog interface and add a property prop. Okay, a string, and let us call it description. And here we'll come back to the, we'll empty this. Okay, so var logmark. Okay, new. Now we will do the setup. So log mock dot setup and l this l dot description. So this is the setup. Returns log description. Okay, for example. And now after the setup we'll assert that log mock dot object dot description is equal to log description. So this is a setup for the get. Okay, so Control RA. So and the test is successful. Now if I want to do another setup, okay, but for the setter. Okay, So I will say log mock dot setup set, okay, and say l dot description equal it dot any is any string, okay. Then we'll do the setter call, for example. So this is the test, so setter call. So we'll say log mock dot object dot description equal disk. So this is the setter call, okay. Now we will verify setter call. We say log mock dot verify set, okay, l, and here we have the, you'll say l dot description equal disk. Okay, this is the first thing, but also we say how many times. We say at least once. We verify that the setter is called at least once, okay. So if I run all the tests now, Control RA, it is successful. If I go here and I comment this line, which was the call of the setter, and I press again Control RA, so it fails, okay. It fails because the setter is not called. So Control RA, and now it is successful. Let us now understand the events, the mocking of events, okay. Let us remove that. Okay, the mocking of event, and for that let us go to the interface again and add an event to mock, okay. Event handler, log event, let's call it log event, for example. And here we create the instance of the log mock. Then we will instantiate the amount calculator, okay, your amount calculator, and say okay 500 and log mock dot object. So this is just the initializing of the amount calculator. And now what will we will do? We will rising the event. Okay, so we will say log mock dot rise and a dot log event, say okay equal nil. So this is the expression like this. So new events args, so like this. So now the event is raised and we do the assert, okay. The assert dot that. And say, okay, amount calculator called calculator dot so because we need another parameter to see if the event is raised, and using we will add another public int called count, and also we'll need to do the subscription. Okay, subscription of the event, so we'll do it inside our constructor. So event subscription dot event sender. Okay, and here let us call this args, and here we will do the console dot write line line log event called. Yeah, and here we will increment the called count, and of course when we are incrementing the called count, it means that the log event were raised, and here we can do the assert and say, okay, amount calculator dot called count is equal to 1. Okay, so because this is the rise, then the called is 1. Okay, the called count. So now if I run the test, Control RA, so the test is successful. Okay, if I don't rise the event, okay, Control RA, the test fails. Okay, so I have to rise the event, then the call count will be 1. Okay, let us do another test. Let us do 2 times and see the result. So the test will fail. If I say, okay, let's see if it is 2, Control A. Yeah, so the test is successful. So like you see, mock framework lets you configure and set up a mock object by controlling the behaviors of methods, properties, events, etc. So thank you, and see you in another video.